The weavers and their actions are essential to the story events of both Hollow Knight and Silksong. Much can be learned about them from things they left behind and insight provided by various NPCs who knew them or knew about them. From this, the full lore of the weavers, who and what they were and what became of them, can be pieced together. Weavers first appear in Hollow Knight, where they resided in the Weaver's Den in Deep Nest. They were not native to Hollow Nest, but instead arrived from another land. One weaver, Hera, was Deep Nest's queen. Weavers could manipulate silk to create powerful tools and spells, including the Seal of Binding used on the Hollow Knight. Once the infection swept through Deep Nest, several weavers became infected or died, and some returned to their homeland, but one living and uninfected one remained. In Silksong, we learn that Pharloom was the weaver's homeland, and that Hornet is half-weaver on her mother's side. When Hornet was young, the weavers in Hollow Nest taught her to use the silk-controlling abilities she had inherited. Sometime after the events of Hollow Knight, servants of Pharloom's monarch captured Hornet in a cage sealed with runes and brought her there. Hornet escaped upon arrival and sought to learn who her captors were, learning more about her own nature and her ancestry in the process. In Pharloom, weavers were once worshipped, with idols made of them and prayers offered to them. The higher being and ruler of Pharloom, Grandmother Silk, called them her daughters and told them they were divine, which led them to believe that they were deserving of worship by other bugs. In truth, the weavers were made from common Pharlids, non-sapient bugs, into their current form by Grandmother Silk. Though the weavers were created by a higher being and given some of her power over silk, they were not divine beings themselves. The weavers initially lived in the cradle and acted as servants of Grandmother Silk by playing music to sustain her power. Eventually, they devised a plan to put her into indefinite slumber so they would no longer need to be her attendants in such a way and could rule Pharloom on their own terms. They established Pharloom's citadel beneath the cradle to keep their mother asleep and created weave nests throughout Pharloom where they figured out how to use their silk independent of their creator and monarch. Here they tried to develop ways to ensnare her more permanently, but none were successful. They also attempted to create a being entirely from silk called Eva, but once again failed and her form was made fragile. One weaver who figured out the truth of their origins, who came to be known as the first sinner, was imprisoned. Some weavers elected to leave Pharloom for distant lands such as Hollow Nest, while others remained in Pharloom. Rule of the kingdom and citadel was left to the conductors. Most remaining weavers faded away and died, entombed with their unique abilities still intact so that returning weavers or their descendants could bind the dead weavers' power and make it their own. As for how and why the weavers faded and died, it may have simply been from old age. Perhaps in the same way that Grandmother Silk needed the weavers to sustain her, they needed her to do the same for them, and either she refused it or the weavers did. The infected little weavers in Deep Nest may have shrunk in size due to infection somehow unraveling their bodies. One weaver in Pharloom remained alive and attempted to wake Grandmother Silk, that being Widow. Most weavers wore spherical masks, but Widows appeared to have been forcibly removed, as observed by Hornet. Hornet and other weaver descendants from lands outside Pharloom were captured by Grandmother Silk's servants to be brought to her and influenced to use their power to wake her from slumber and allow her to take over Pharloom again. Other weavers hoped that one of them or their descendants would either usurp Grandmother Silk, as Hollow Nest weavers tried to convince Hornet to do, or find some way to finally defeat the monarch for good. As for specific individual weavers, we know of Hera, Widow, and the First Sinner. Through weaver effigies, we learn of Atla, Kilal, and Kimora. Since one of the weave nests was named for Atla, it can be assumed that the other weave nests may have also been named for specific weavers. These would include Absolem, Sindril, Karn, and Merglin, although Absolem may have simply been named for its location in the abyss away from light. Before Hornet was taken to Pharloom, 3 more weaver descendants, one who was 1/4 weaver and 2 who were 1/8 weaver, were found and captured. The exact number of weavers is unknown, though it seems there were many in total. It was difficult for weavers to conceive children, which was probably by design on Grandmother Silk's part so that the weaver's continued existence would be dependent on her rather than procreation. Hera's conception of Hornet was likely facilitated by the Pale King, and the others who conceived may have been able to do so under similar circumstances. Hera being otherwise unable to produce offspring could explain why she and her former mate, the King of Deep Nest, never did so. Though most weavers died or faded away, they left enough behind that Hornet can utilize to put an end to Grandmother Silk's rule as Hornet sees fit, either taking her place, ensnaring her, or finding an entirely different solution. Through the events of Silksong, as Hornet learns more and more about her origins, she is determined to use knowledge from the past to secure a better future for Pharloom. I'd like to think that everything she becomes able to accomplish would make her ancestors proud. What do you think about the Weavers? Is there anything about them that I didn't discuss in this video? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. I've got many more on Hollow Knight and Silksong for you to check out if you haven't already. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.